If you're looking to run Google Ads yourself for your own business, then this is the perfect video for you to watch. And there are tons of other videos you could be watching, but I've ran Google Ads for over 100 different brands, and I've audited dozens and dozens of Google Ad accounts, and I see the exact same 12 mistakes across the board in all industries that are stunting people's growth inside their Google Ad accounts. So today, I'm not only going to show you how to set up and run Google Ads, but I'm going to show you how to set up and run Google Ads the best way and cover structure and strategy that almost no one else is talking about. So let's get into it. All right, so if you don't already have a Google Ad account, go to ads.google.com and use the email that you want to be, the admin or the owner of that Google Ad account, which is likely going to be, whatever branded email you may have. So mine is john@eberhardmediamarketing.com. Yours is going to be, at whatever.com. So make sure you're using that email to go to ads.google.com. But once you go through their quick little questions, and they're going to try and make you, create your first campaign because they want people to start spending right away. But do whatever you can to bypass all that, and then you're eventually going to get to a screen like this. Your chart's probably going to be empty, and yes, this is my personal Google Ad account. So now that you've watched this far into the video, if you see my beautiful face in ads and on your YouTube screen, then I apologize. Actually, kind of not apologize, because of course that's what I'm trying to do. But hopefully you guys go ahead and and click on one of those ads, go to my website, fill out my form, and if you're having any trouble with this, or you just don't want to have to run the Google Ads yourself because you realize it's kind of a full-time job, then I would love to take over your Google Ads for you. And if you're someone who's already running Google Ads and you're coming back to this video for some more knowledge, I would love to give you a free audit. But regardless, this is the screen that you're going to see once you get started in your Google Ad account. So there's a couple ways to start a campaign. You can click here, you can click up here, and you can even go actually into your campaigns themselves and click on this blue button right here. Does not matter. So we're going to go ahead and click create here. Go ahead and go to campaign. So there are multiple different types of campaigns. I'm going to touch on those a tiny bit, but what I'm not going to touch on is actually what Google Ads are. So I'm not going to cut it down to the basics of what PPC is, and how Google charges cost per click. But I mean, honestly, that basically is it. But this is more a video for someone who's ready to get started with Google Ads. So first off here, it's going to ask you, okay, what's your overall objective? Okay, so sales means that if you're an e-commerce business, which is going to be likely, you have a business where your website's on Shopify, where someone is actually putting in their card and making a transaction right there on the site. That's going to be sales. And then leads is going to be like, let's say you're a locksmith or a plumber or a mobile auto detailer, and people are calling you or filling out a form. That's going to be leads. But if you're where I think you're at and you are on a brand new Google Ad account, whether it's sales or leads, if you have a new Google Ad account, you're just watching this video for the first time, to get your grasp and start running your own Google Ads, and you have no data in your account yet, always start with website traffic, because when you are optimizing for these events, Google is going to be looking, for, I guess, almost like lookalike audiences and looking for demographics, interests, behaviors, etc., for people who mimic these after you have some conversion data. So if your account is completely empty, start with website traffic until you have at least 30 sales or at least 30 leads. That is my best recommendation. And then you can go to maximize conversions and switch your marketing objective. But for now, I'm going to assume that you have a brand new account. So we're going to go ahead and go to website traffic. Now, the next thing here, this is asking, Google's asking, okay, so how do you actually, like what are your conversions, right? So mine, because I run a Google Ads agency, I'm collecting leads. I want people to go to my site, fill out my form, call me, whatever. I have a conversion action set up here for my form, but you're probably not going to have anything here. So please watch another video on conversion tracking, because this could be, or it literally is its own video. And that's not something that is very easy to do. It's very complex. So if you want to do your own conversion tracking, then watch a different video for that. But I'm just going to go ahead and click continue for now. All right. And then going down the list here. So this is where we're going to talk a little bit about the different types of campaigns, right? So search, which is, the holy grail, the golden key of Google Ads, which is going to be when someone searches something on Google, there's a chance that your ads pop up depending on your keywords, of course, but that is what search is. It's very high intent, very bottom of funnel. And then a performance max campaign. So you can even read these along with me. I'll go ahead and read them. Driving website traffic by reaching people whether you're browsing on ads on Google search, YouTube display, or more. So this is where you're typically going to have to have a lot more assets, such as photos, videos, etc. Because now not only are your ads going to be seen when someone looks something up in Google, but you're also going to have your videos and photos shown on YouTube ads. You're going to show up in the promotions tab on Gmail, going to show up on Maps, display ads, etc. Like on like the banners and the side parts of other people's websites. Demand gen is primarily just going to be content. Video is also just content. And then display is just display content. And then shopping is going to be where if you ever are looking up, buying like a product or a prescription or anything like that, like let's say you look up gym shoes on Google, the very top line you see is going to be the actual shopping feed. So realistically, the search, the performance max, and the shopping feed campaigns, the standard shopping is what it's called. Those are going to be, your three main campaigns, with search being the actual holy grail itself. So what I'm going to go through is actually doing this the search campaign in this video. I'm not going to go through performance max because it is relatively the exact same setup. Setting it up right, you're going to want to use the same settings and same things as me, right? Like if you don't have any leads, you're going to want to go for website traffic. So it's going to be the same actual structural setup. But for this, purpose of this video, I'm just going to go ahead and do a search. So let's go ahead and click on that. And then this is asking, okay, what are the ways you want to reach your goal? So this is asking for your website. So in this video, we're going to role play this mobile auto detailer that I found in Miami. I am not in Miami. Maybe you can tell by the cactus I have, but I'm not in Miami. I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. I have no affiliation with this company or this brand, but I looked them up and they have a good website. So we're going to role play as them and we're going to set up ads as if I was them, just to show you guys a real example. So I'm just going to grab the website, put it in here. Unfortunately, Google actually makes you go through this part, and all they're going to do is they're going to scan your website right here and try and give you AI recommendations for keywords, ad copy, etc. So unfortunately, you just have to do it. But your campaign name here, this is all going to be internal. It's a little bit different for me maybe than for you because, I run an agency. I have tons of campaigns, tons of accounts that I manage, etc. But this is purely just for you. So what I like to do is I'm going to start with what type of campaign it is. I'm going to go for web traffic, just so we know, what's our campaign objective. I'm also going to put clicks, and I'll show you why in a minute, but that is going to be the very next step. I'm going to go for clicks, and I'm just going to say, let's just do catch all, right? So if this is our very first campaign, we're going to be using tons of keywords. We're going to be using, our maximum location targeting, etc. So this is just the foundation. This is the very broad campaign to start with. And then I'm going to teach you some of the strategies I mentioned about how you should actually set up your ad groups and your keywords to be able to, actually grow your account instead of just putting everything into one and then going, great, we're not getting the results we want. There's nothing to do. So that's part of what I'll go into in the future. And also I put a dash here for Eberhard Media Marketing Agency, just so I know that I made that account when I am in my client's account. So go ahead and click continue, start new. There's a bunch of drafted campaigns because I make a lot of these videos. So also, yes, if you need any more help, I'm sure I have a Google Ads video on YouTube on the topic that you might need help with. So please watch other videos on my channel if you need. But right here, of course, you're bidding. What do we want to focus on? You're going to think conversions. But if we're already optimizing for website traffic as our marketing objective, then we're going to go for clicks, and it's going to be the same exact principle is going to apply, right? So if you are getting, over 30 conversions, you have already 30 conversions, you're going to be able to switch this from conversions and then switch the overall campaign objective to sales or leads. So I'll show you how to do that later. No need to set a maximum cost per click. Bid limit. This is this right here. Overall cost per click really has a different impact across several different industries. So if you're a lawyer or a plumber or a locksmith or an HVAC company, you might struggle with having very, very high CPCs. There are ways around, having just, being able to, I guess what I'm trying to say is there are ways to mitigate those high CPCs. And that's something that I'm going to go into once I actually go in and talk about ad groups and keywords. So for now, you never want to start a campaign with this, especially if it's your first campaign, you don't want to guess. Okay, so just go ahead and leave this open. No need to bid for new customers. Go ahead and click next. And so if you are doing a search campaign, which we are, you're gonna want to turn both of these off. So display network is basically like Google is gonna want, I love how it says when you have a leftover search budget. That is honestly BS. This is just a way for Google to make sure that your ad spend is always getting spent. So it's gonna be showing your ads on relevant sites. Videos like YouTube, it's going to be showing like display ads, like I mentioned, where someone has their ads on the banner or the right and left side of a website. You don't want that. You also don't want search partners. You want people for just looking in Google. Google's partnered with, I think, hundreds or even thousands of other like non-Google websites. And if you look up the list of them, it's absolutely ridiculous. No one is going to be using those networks, and if they are, it's not really the traffic you want anyways. Again, another way for Google to make sure that your money is being spent. But we want very high intent, bottom of funnel Google searches. So please save yourself money, keep your budget towards what's going to be best, and go ahead and leave both of these unchecked. Now, locations, a lot of folks do this wrong. A lot of videos show this wrong. I'm going to show you my favorite way to do it. First things first, go ahead and go to location options. you want to click the second option here. You only want to be advertising to people in or regularly in our included locations. So this right here, the first one says presence or interest, which means people in, regularly in, or who have shown interest, keywords shown interest in our included locations. And of course it's recommended. So I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. People travel here. People do bachelor and bachelorette parties here, weddings here, etc. So if someone is like looking into something to do in Scottsdale or looking to plan a trip, then you run the risk of showing your ads to people who live in a different state who are looking or showing interest in Scottsdale. Horrible. Do not spend your money on that. So again, another one of those ways that Google likes to take your money. So let's go ahead and here, go to regularly in our locations. And so now let's actually make those locations, but I just want to get that out of the way first. So let's go ahead and go to enter another location. So here you can, enter cities, enter zip codes, etc., neighborhoods, whatever. But what I like to do is I always like to go to advanced search, and I like to basically like hand pick the exact areas that I'm going to be advertising in. So like, let's just say again that you're this mobile auto detailing company, right? You're not going to be driving all over somewhere. And I'm going to use the example of like, the Valley of Arizona because that's where I live. But if you're not familiar, think of anywhere like any kind of like big city, right? There's the bigger city, which is, likely smaller geographically on the map, but denser population. And then there's always going to be, those surrounding cities. So just keep that in mind for wherever you're at. But I'm going to be using Phoenix as that main area with the higher population. But then all around it, there's cities like Scottsdale, you might know Gilbert, Mesa, Tempe, etc. So for this example, let's just say that we, like for this mobile auto detailing company, let's go, hey, we really want to focus on Scottsdale. That's, our main service area. Don't want to go anywhere else, okay? Of course, I'm sure there are more areas, but just for this example, I would like to show you this. And this is why it's important for you to pick your own locations. And I'm going to show you exactly, how to pick those locations. So go ahead and go to include here, right? So this is what Scottsdale would look like. Let's say, hey, John, boom, we want to do Scottsdale. Okay, but look at how dramatic this is, okay? So you might not know, this is Old Town Scottsdale. This is honestly about where I live. And if you go way up here, this is also included just because of like, where city lines are. Cave Creek up here, if you're going to make this drive, that's a decent drive. Like look at this city, right? So that's a very broad, targeting area. Same thing with Phoenix, right? Some of you guys might know Phoenix a little bit better. Look at how different this is. All the way up there by Anthem, and then all the way to South Phoenix. Like this is like night and day difference in here. And same thing if you're gonna be making a drive during the day, or if there's traffic, that can be a decent drive. I would say that could definitely be an hour, right? Like that's a very big drive. So what you need to do here is you need to pick your locations yourself. And so what you can do, like let's just say that you're an auto shop and you're like, hey, we're gonna advertise 15 miles around the shop. Then you can go to radius. You can change this to 15 miles. You can type in your actual address here, boom, easy, right? But if you have certain areas, or like, let's just say as you start advertising more and you're like, hey, we want to be more specific with that radius. There's some zip codes in there we might not want, some less affluent areas, etc. Then you can start picking it yourself. So let's just say that we want to do Scottsdale. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to show all areas, and you can hold control on your keyboard and then zoom here with your mouse. And what you can do is you can actually handpick zip codes and neighborhoods. So I'm not going to go too deep into this because obviously you're going to know what areas you should probably avoid, what areas you would rather advertise in compared to others, etc. Maybe staying less out of the ghetto, or you don't want to be too far away, targeting more affluent areas, or just closer to where you are, whatever. So what you do here is you just zoom in as much as you want. Go ahead and click on these areas, right? Okay, so that may have been a big one, but I know that's way up here. Of course, it all just depends on where you want to actually advertise, but we don't need to actually exclude that, but we can just remove it. But like, let's just say you only want to focus on something like Old Town. You can actually literally click on these little, and it goes by zip code and neighborhood is what you're going to see a lot of this. So of course it's not going to be 100% perfect because of just, again, instead of like actual city lines, now you have like neighborhood and zip code lines, but you can do a lot more with this. And I know right here, like let's say we don't want this whole area, you can actually handpick a little bit inside of it, right? So like little stuff like this. So see like the other one, oh whoops, no, it did the very same. This is something you just have to mess with, in my opinion, but it can be very, very, very effective for choosing, more of where you actually want to advertise in, instead of just, kind of just leaving it up to whatever city or state lines you may have. But you can always pick like neighborhoods and stuff in here that I find very, very, very helpful to do. So that's just my 2 cents. I'm going to leave it here and let you guys make those changes as you need. Go ahead and scroll down. Languages, that's of course going to be up to you. For all these more settings here. So the only reason why I would change this out of the gate is if you are a like a plumber and you're going to be closed, or let's say you're a locksmith, but you're not an emergency locksmith, so you're only open during the day, then you probably don't want people calling you at night. You don't want your ads running at night, especially if you're going to answer the phone and call them back in the morning. I'm sure if someone's locked out of their house at 2 in the morning, they're probably not going to wait for you to open and give them a call back. They're probably going to find someone else to call. So be careful with this. You can change this ads closure right off the bat to be advertising only when you're open and only when you're taking calls. And that's what I would recommend, unless you're doing lead generation, of course. But it's going to be industry for industry. I'm sure you can, put yourself in the mindset of this and see what's going to be best for your business. So let's go ahead and click next. This here, AI Max, this is Google's, I guess, newest AI feature. I'm just going to go ahead and not optimize. What this is, you can go ahead and read it here, but it's just basically these are settings that have already existed inside Google Ads, but we don't want Google, putting people on our website wherever they feel is the best page. We want to choose where our, customers go. We don't want them to be, just scraping everything and using their own text. Especially if you're in anything like the law industry, if you're a law practice, if you are a medical practice, if you're a financial service company, I would just recommend not doing it at all. Obviously, I'm not going to do it. I don't recommend it. But it's even more important to be careful when you're in those industries, because you don't ever want Google making a claim or saying something that they shouldn't if you're going to be dealing with medications, law, or finance. So just be very careful with that. So I'm going to go ahead and click next here, skip that. Again, this is when we put in our website earlier, because Google's like, hey, let us help you create your ads. I'm good. We're going to go ahead and click skip. Okay, so now we're at the point, and here's, oh my goodness. It shows all these keywords for us, and they're all broad match, which is absolutely not necessary, especially if they're broad match. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get rid of all that. So what's happening now? Gosh, I hate this thing. Get out of here. Okay, so what's happening now is, so what we're doing, right? We're creating a campaign. So in a campaign, at the campaign level, you're gonna have, your campaign name, your website, your goal, such as like, we're going for clicks, we're going for traffic, etc. And then you're gonna have your locations and your budget. Those are gonna be at a campaign level, right? So that's like the top of the umbrella. And then under that, or I guess down in a funnel, however you want to look at it, but right under that is going to be your ad groups. And you can have several ad groups for whatever you want. But remember, your spend and location is going to be at a campaign level. So whatever ad groups you make, you're going to be following that same budget, and you're going to be following those same locations, okay? It's not ad group friendly, I guess. It's all under one, okay? Think of the umbrella. So your ad groups are where you have your keywords. So your keywords are what get triggered when someone makes a search, okay? And there's gonna be different types of keywords, which I'll talk about in just a minute. And then under these ad groups, going down the umbrella or down the funnel one more time, under these ad groups, you're gonna have your ads, which is what's actually being shown, here in Google when someone makes a search. That's where you actually have your headlines, your descriptions, where you want people to go on your website, etc. But the biggest thing here is your actual keywords. So we notice how Google made all those recommendations for us. But here's one of the biggest things that I'm going to tell you that you need to be doing correctly. Pay very close attention. Most other YouTubers don't talk about this. This is a more, I would say, advanced strategy. And I'm going to let you know right now, this is not for the lazy. So if you're like, hey, I just want a quick, easy setup, then sure, do what you want. But if you really want to succeed using Google Ads and you want to be able to get, deeper metrics and make higher level decisions in your account to keep your learning progressing and keep your, account like evolving into a more profitable marketing channel, and you're going to want to take note of this, okay? So what's happening right now is we're making this ad group, but what I see a lot, and exactly how, let's actually, can I do Control Z? Yes, I can. So you see how all these keywords Google put in here? Car detailing, mobile car detailing Miami, premium, detailing service, detailing prices, interior. Okay, yeah, that's most of them. Detailing. These are, okay, yes. You could look at this and go, okay, Johnny, these are all like relatively the same, right? This is all potentially keywords and searches that someone would look up if they're looking to get their car detailed. So you go, cool, this is not a big deal. Makes sense to me, right? Wrong. Okay, the biggest thing here is we want to use, and this is the strategy I use for every single Google Ad account that I manage. I have over 30 clients. I manage over 30 accounts right now in this very second. And I use what's called STAGs, S-T-A-G-S, I guess, right? But it's a single theme ad group, okay? So make every ad group and your keywords follow one particular theme, because when someone triggers that theme or one of those ad groups in that theme, you want them to see ad copy that is hyper relevant to that theme. And if you have a specific landing page, like let's say for each theme, you're gonna do like a different service, right? Like let's say that you are a asphalt paving company, you would at the very least, want to have a different ad group and a stag, a single theme ad group, at least in keywords that follow for residential paving, You want a different one for commercial paving, a different one for patching, different one for seal coating, different one for crack sealing, etc. Okay, that's an example. I like to use the asphalt paving because those services are very different. Okay, same thing with roofing. Roofing repair is going to be different compared to roof replacement. Shingles roof. I don't know much about roofing, but you're going to want those all very different. Okay, now bringing it in here, same thing with mobile auto detailing. Okay, like mobile car wash, mobile auto detailing, interior mobile detailing, exterior mobile detailing, ceramic coating, paint correction, right? All of those things are very, very different. Okay, and you might be thinking that yes, but someone can look that up and go to the site and like still convert, and maybe pick up a different service. You're absolutely right. That's why we're gonna have all of them still in their own ad groups with their own keywords, but we wanna give people exactly what they're looking for. So if we're advertising for mobile auto detailing, we don't wanna have the headline come up that's like, hey, mobile car washing, exterior cleaning, because it's like, it's not exactly what we're giving people. We wanna give people exactly what they're looking for, okay? And yes, even if they do end up converting for something else, they're still going to the same place ideally, unless you have a very specific landing page for all those, or if it's a very different service, like I mentioned, with the asphalt paving. Like those are very different. You can't really mess up residential paving and crack sealing, maybe, right? But again, mobile auto detailing, car washing, mobile car washing, stuff like that is kind of like a gray area because they kind of overlap a little bit, but you still want to separate those because not only now it's just going to keep everything more in line, but it's going to make everything way, way, way easier because, and here's why, because when you are running ads, let's say you've got 5 different ad groups, like mobile car washing, exterior detailing, ceramic coating, whatever. Okay, you have 5 ad groups, right? You have to remember that your pricing, your daily budget is at a campaign level. Remember that, okay? So no matter what, your budget is going to go to the ad group and the keywords that are going to be the most, that are going to be getting the most clicks, right? You pay on Google per click. Google makes money when someone clicks, okay? So that's why it's important that if you're advertising in Phoenix, Arizona, or LA, or Miami, but you're also advertising the surrounding cities, you can probably assume that that big city, Phoenix, LA, or Miami, is going to be taking most of the budget because that's where most of the volume is, right? So that doesn't mean that after you get your ads running, that doesn't mean that Scottsdale or Fort Lauderdale or wherever, or Orange County, right around whatever big city you're targeting, that doesn't mean that that can't potentially be an actual better place for you to be advertising for and by better, I mean lower cost per conversion, higher return on ad spend, etc. It's just not getting all the love and all the budget that it deserves because it's getting hogged by the more popular search intensive or search volume location, right? Same exact thing goes for these ad groups, okay, and these keywords. So if you have every single keyword jammed into one ad group, it's going to make it really hard to what I like to call dividing and conquering, which means, let's say you've got 3 out of 50 keywords that are getting all the traffic and your one location out of all the 5 are getting all the actual traffic. What you're going to want to do in the future is you're going to want to duplicate this campaign. And in that duplicated campaign, you're going to want to pause that location that's hogging all the spend in the first campaign. Same thing with the keywords. And you're going to want to now put a separate budget into this new campaign to give it spend, to give it a chance to actually have its own spend and let it run instead of it, just gravitating towards Phoenix or the most broad, keywords, right? So that might be confusing right now. If you're very new to Google Ads, which I assume you would be, but telling you this is a way, long story short, if that made no sense to you, then what you need to get out of that is that this is how you're going to future-proof your account. It's going to make it way, way, way easier to scale. It's also going to be way easier for you to interpret. Because if you have just one ad group with a bunch of junk in it, and you look at it, you go, okay, how do we scale this? I have no idea. All of it's in here. I don't know. I'm stuck. Okay, I literally have a video on what to do when your Google Ad account feels stuck, and this is exactly what happens. So separate these. It's going to make it way easier for you to visually digest. It's going to be way easier to scale. And if you ever end up paying me or someone else to run your Google Ads, it's going to just be way easier for everyone. So please just do what I suggest. But moving on from that, we are now going to be making just this first ad group. I'm not going to make 5 ad groups for the sake of this video. I'm going to make 1, and we're just going to go with mobile auto detailing very specifically. Okay, not mobile car washer, not mobile car detailing. We're going to go for mobile auto detailing specifically. Okay, so as I mentioned, there are multiple different types of keywords. Okay, there's going to be broad, there's phrase, and there's exact. Okay, a broad match is exactly what you would think. If someone looks up, let's say, okay, here's what it looks like, right? Mobile auto detailing. Oops. This right here is what a broad match keyword looks like. Okay, and so what that means is that if someone looks up anything on Google in your targeted locations, of course, that involves any words from this phrase, you risk your ads being shown, right? So the word mobile, if someone looks up something related to the word mobile, this you run the risk of this ad being shown and this keyword being triggered. So if you're going to use broad match keywords, you have to be looking at your search terms in your Google Ad account and paying very close attention and making sure that you're staying on top of your negative keywords. Because if not, again, this is why Google suggested us to use 20 broad match keywords, because if we just do what it says, it will spend. Trust me, it'll spend even more if you wanted it to, because there's going to be a lot of less high intent, it's like a double negative. You're going to have lower intent searches that might not be as relevant and as highly relevant. So you need to stay on your negative search terms. What I like to do is I just like to pick myself phrase match and exact match. And if I'm struggling with keywords, if they're too expensive, then I will go broad and put tight negative keywords on. But for the sake of this video, we're going to stay away from broad because I want you to get the better system down, right? That's the whole point of this video. This whole video is for me to show deeper, superior, result secrets here on how you can actually set yourself up the right way. So we're going to do it the right way. We're going to use phrase and exact match. So let's just make one that's exact. Mobile auto detailing. I keep typing that word wrong. Okay, so if someone types in mobile auto detailing, boom, this one will get triggered. Okay, same thing with now, if we do mobile auto detailing, okay, so this first one right here, this is an exact match, and you can look at right here, it'll show you that when you put brackets around it, that makes it an exact match, and when you put these quotations, that makes it a phrase match. Okay, so exact is exact, broad is very open, it picks apart every single word. Google claims to be getting better with that. That's why they always suggest it, because it's not like that anymore, but it still is. It's just a way to spend and make sure that your ads are always coming up. And then phrase match is personally one of my favorites, okay? Because what that means is that this phrase, if this phrase is involved in someone's search, then your ads will still come up. So this is a way to make sure that you're getting all of the surrounding searches that you want, but you're not going broad where you're getting all the searches, but you want the correct ones, right? So if someone looked up, this might not make grammatic sense, but for the sake of it, like, where can I get mobile auto detailing in Miami? Then if someone searches that, this keyword will be triggered because of this. It's a phrase match, okay? So think about it like that. This whole entire phrase has to be included, okay? So let's go ahead and keep looking now. Let's see, let's do mobile auto detailing. We have those. Auto mobile detailing, that's interesting. So we're just gonna add that. So that has some searches. Auto mobile detailing, I'm gonna add that. And I'll do the same thing here, auto mobile detailing. And what I'm using right now, this is a tool called Mangles. So you can use Google Ads Keyword Planner in the Google Ads dashboard. It's under tools and settings, and do the keyword research yourself. But I like to use these third-party tools because when I look up like what's called the seed word, it'll give me examples of other words that also are, doing well on search volume. And of course, you always want to be looking at search volume and CPC. Take that not with a grain of salt, but take it, into consideration, especially if you're in those higher to compete CPC industries, right? Like plumbing, law, like I said. So one thing I'm going to show you is how to actually mitigate those high CPCs if that is your problem, like I said. So if you're in a high expensive niche and you just use the C word, which would be like mobile auto detailing or like HVAC company near me or plumber near me, that's going to be so expensive. So you have to be creative, okay? You have to be like plumbers open late night in Scottsdale, okay? And you have to find the volume. There might not be as much volume, but even if that search, or even if that keyword has 20 to 40 searches a month and you've got 10 like that, if you have a budget that's under $3,000 a month, you're still going to be spending. So what I'm trying to say is you have to just be more unique, and you just have to use longer tail keywords and be a little bit more specific. You can't just go towards, the highest search keywords. That's what everyone is fighting for. And that's what makes a keyword expensive, is when everyone is fighting for it and Google's like, hey, great, this is a high converting keyword, so the price overall goes up. You have to hand pick, you have to be a little bit more detailed, to be a little bit more unique, and go for those longer, more specific, less volume searches. But let's keep looking. Auto detailing mobile, I think we're gonna add that one. Auto mobile detailing. What is this? Auto detailing mobile? There's 150 searches for that, right? So like that's crazy. Okay. Let's go ahead and add this one, auto detailing mobile. So you're probably getting it right now, but this, auto detailing mobile. So this is the, I don't even see where all of a sudden for us to be able to rename this. Usually there's a spot for you to actually name this ad group, and now I'm not seeing it, which is very odd. But anyways, this is gonna be, it's usually right here. This is gonna be our ad group for mobile auto detailing, right? So this might be all I need, this might not. I'm gonna let you do all the looking that you want. Okay, here's a good one. Auto detailing mobile near me, but because we have auto detailing mobile as a phrase, that would still encompass that one, right? So you don't need a million keywords, okay? One thing that people think is that they need an absolute mother load of keywords, which you definitely do not need, okay? Just make sure you're covering the basics. If you do 20 keywords, I'm telling you, just like, remember I mentioned how the budget is like a magnet to wherever is most popular. Same thing's gonna happen with your keywords, okay? So if you have 50, there's almost no point. I bet you all of your spend is gonna be going to like 5 or less, especially if you're using broad. It's gonna go to like 2 because that one broad is gonna encompass everything, okay? So just cover what you need. This is gonna be our mobile auto detailing ad group. So now final URL, okay, where do we wanna bring people, okay? Let's go to this site. If you have a very specific, like landing page, so like it's gonna be a lot different for a lead gen or like multi service businesses, but if you have a specific landing page for that service, like right here, I know that we're kind of beating around the bush by like this mobile auto detailing may have been a bad example because all of it kind of leads back into itself. But again, if you're like an asphalt paving company, you've got residential paving, commercial paving, crack sealing, seal coating, patching, etc. You should have a different landing page for each of those. So what you would do is you would use that landing page. But I actually run Google Ads for 4 mobile auto detailers right now, and their homepage actually crushes it because it's like one, not like combined service, but it wouldn't make as much sense to have landing page, specifically for like interior, exterior, which these guys do, but still, right? Like this just doesn't look like it's going to convert as well as the homepage. And of course, you still want to try it and remove your cognitive bias, even if you don't think so. But I've done the testing with all my clients, and the homepage actually does really well. So we are going to keep it the homepage for here. This is what's called a display path. So that's what's added. You can see it like right after this slash. It's what's added. Google says in the future they're going to use this as like some kind of aid for targeting people, based on your ads, almost like its own like little like keyword or like some type of feature for them to be able to find, I guess, more people for your searches, I guess. So you can put whatever you want here. But let's just do like Miami best mobile detailing. You can do whatever you want here. Perfect, right? Something like that. Cool. Now, what you always want to do is you always want to go for a high actual ad strength. That's always going to help. But what you can do here is you always want to make sure that you're including headlines. But what I like to do here, so I'm not going to go through all of these because I don't need to, but I'm going to show you how to come up with really good ad copy. So in my experience, I'm just going to fix these for you so we can see that. Oops. In my experience, click-through rate is almost not actually the issue for anyone. Okay, so what this is doing right here, you're creating these headlines and descriptions. This is what someone's going to read and actually click on. But one of the metrics that's important for any kind of advertising is your actual click-through rate. So what percentage of people that are seeing your ads are actually taking action and clicking on them? That's called your click-through rate. It is very, I would say, again, click-through rate itself is almost never a problem. Even if you just use those crappy Google recommendations and a couple, like even these right here, and used a couple things from your website, you would still probably do just fine. The real problem is that people are getting unrelated searches. So meaning that they're not, making negative keywords correctly. They're getting, less relevant searches. So it's almost never an actual like ad copy issue, but it's almost always a targeting and keyword and search issue. So keep that in mind here, but I am going to show you how to write the best ad copy. So really quickly, I like to encompass, oh man, I can't remember. It's either 4 things or 5 things. I'm going to figure it out when I say them to you right now, but in every ad, right? So you're creating one ad right now. So this one ad is going to have 15 different headline options, and there's always going to be 2. So it's always going to use 2. It's going to use a description, and then you're going to have like your site links, your images, whatever, which is all going to be included through all your ads. But the main different thing here is headline options and description options. Okay. So what I like to do, because again, there's always going to be 2 headlines, is you always want to mix match. Okay. So don't ever really repeat yourself. You want any combination of 2 headlines to complement each other and work well together, okay? So you don't want like book your appointment, schedule your appointment, like, because you run the risk of both of those coming up at the same time, and that just looks silly, right? So what you need to do, and just overall good copywriting skills, is here's how I write my ad copy, right? So there's 15 suggestions here. I'm gonna open up all of them just so you see all of them. There's 15. I'm not gonna write all 15 of them, but I'm gonna write a few with you. But what we're gonna do here is we're gonna have ad copy. So you're gonna have some headlines that revolve around emotion, right? So why is someone buying, your product or service? It's to fix some kind of issue, so touch on that issue. The next thing is gonna be like expertise. So a lot of this comes down to like local as well, like how long you've been in business, how many residents you've served, how many cars you've washed, etc. Like how many 5-star Google reviews you have. So that's the second one. The third one is an offer. If you've got memberships, if you're doing, hey, $49.99 service calls, you got a holiday special, anything like that, any kind of offer, any kind of discount, any kind of freebie, whatever you have, put in there as well. And then the next one, shoot, now I'm forgetting. Oh, it's always going to be location. So what you want to do if you're advertising in multiple different cities, right? You don't want to just type in like, oh, you don't want to type in Phoenix, because if someone's here in Scottsdale and they see Phoenix, that might be a turnoff because it's not where they live, right? So there is some kind of insert that you can use to you know, put in anyone's location that they're in. I'll let you Google that. I don't want to find it right now, but just like a Google Ads location insert. And it's like a line of code that basically, again, wherever anyone is, and they look it up, it's going to show their location, because that's going to be more what you want. But it's going to be around, like, you know, showing that you're like a part of the neighborhood, you're a part of the community, you're local, right? So all of those combined is going to help you write good ad copy. And then also your call to action, right? So like for here, book appointment, call us now, schedule now, stuff like that is going to be great. So what I like to do, Google's going to give you a few recommendations. These are good. For the most part, these are all lavish car detailed. You know, that's the name of the business, so that helps as well. Try and use your keywords in there as well. You can also even just use ChatGPT. There's a prompt. You can do there's a custom GPT for Google ad copywriting, where you give it your landing page, say what kind of keywords you're using, etc., and it'll help you write some good ones. So you can do that. You can think of some of your own. What I like to do, honestly, is I want my advertising to be as congruent as possible with what's actually on my site and what I am actually advertising for. So I always use ad copy from my actual website itself. So if you have someone make your website, chances are they're going to fill in stuff for you anyway, so you're not just going to have a blank website. If we're doing it for a client, you can always just go in and look, right? So here's an example. I'm not going to write all these in here. I'm just going to give you examples, right? Premium car detailing, vehicle care to the next level. These are all just like good ideas, right? And you can use these for descriptions too. So your descriptions are going to be 90 characters. These are a little bit longer, right? And I'm sure if you see Google Ads, you're going to see, a ton of examples. Anyway, so you can always look at competitors as well. Like highly trained team, top quality products, keep your car always looking brand new. Like these are all really good, right? Let's see. Okay, so here's some of the social proof stuff I said. Like 100 plus cars washed weekly is okay, but I would maybe even put like the total. If you guys have been in business for however long, it'd be like 5,000 plus cars washed. Like that's great. 99% of bacteria removed. Like that's pretty good. 98% satisfaction score. Maybe even put like how many reviews you have here. Yeah, you can even put like, serving Miami, servicing Miami and surrounding areas. That's a great one. We come to you. Flawless finish. Without the hassle driving to a shop. Book appointment, right? Called Why Choose Us. Stuff like convenient, exclusive, and high quality service. That's a bar right there. That's a good one. Premium products and advanced techniques. Long lasting finish. Tailoring to your vehicle's needs. All of those are really good. I'm not going to keep going on. That is more than enough you need. My ad score is going to show poor because I'm not going to do all those. Same thing with descriptions. Do what you like here, and make sure to always add images. I'm just going to show you. Obviously, this is one of my images. This is not going to be an image for you, but your ads. I want it to show it. Okay, so this is what it looks like now. Google's introduced a variation where it shows your whole image here, but what you really are going to see the most. Come on, baby. Let me see. Anyways, you've probably seen it, but when someone is actually running Google Ads, they're going to have an image that's like off here, like to the side, to the right of the headlines, like in the actual search engine result page. So it's always really important to have images there. That goes a long way. So especially when someone is actually making a Google Ads search and they're seeing a lot of other Google Ads, all this little stuff I'm about to share with you goes the extra mile and makes you stand out in a positive way, big time. So having the images, having your business name. If you don't put your business name here, it's just going to have your URL and it's just going to say lavishcardetail.com or whatever your site is. Doesn't look as good as having, like your full business name with the spaces and the capitals. Looks a lot cleaner this way. Same thing with having a logo. If you don't have a logo, it's just going to be like a white circle. Also looks like junk, right? So if you've got a nice poppin' business name, the letters are capitalized correctly. You've got, your images, and someone just has, their whatever, their lowercase website with no image, like it really makes it, you're going to get the click. So all this little stuff matters a lot. Your site links, you may have seen these before. Let's just do mobile auto detailer Miami. Let's see if we see some ads, because if we see ads, that means that people aren't doing their location targeting right. So far, okay. So here's what the site links look like. They're these things, right? Someone clicks on services, about us, promotions, whatever. All of these little things, and the same thing with, I'm gonna show you something in a minute called callouts. They're basically the same thing, but the callouts are in your description, but they're like blue hyperlink buttons. So when you click on these, it's gonna take them, to that page on their website. But these callouts and these site links should be used to like reinforce the overall, overall objective here, which is to get people to click. It's supposed to reinforce your ad copy and your brand and your business. So for instance, I run a Google Ads agency. I already have some. Where are mine? Come on. It's gonna make me make new ones. I swear I have some. Oh, come on. I've got so many. I'm literally running Google Ads right now. Okay, here we go. So this is what's gonna get me suggested because it's gonna, scout your website, right? So you might have one for ceramic coating, contact us, paint protection. These are more services. But again, I would use ones that are gonna actually encourage the click and help get you business and help get, consumers across that finish line. So what I have for mine is like, want me to run your ads? Free Google Ad audit. There's my offer. Free Google Ads audit. This is combining all of them. Like I have a specialty in health and wellness. Book your free intro call, services, stuff like that, right? A big one would be like reviews, or if you're any kind of local home service and you're like gallery, look at our gallery of work for landscaping. Like people want to see that stuff, and if they click on it, it's going to bring them, still to your website. But again, all of this stuff should be, stuff that complements your brand and overall helps you get the click. So I'm just going to let you do that. Same thing with those call outs. These call outs are quick little gimmies. Again, you're going to see them. They're going to be after your description, little blue text. So like, book your free intro call. I like these, like I said, little like one-liner gimmies, right? So also you can see that right here, but stand out in Arizona, top Google Ads agency, partner with the MMA, boost your sales, money back guarantee, like whatever you may have, right? Put all those in there. Those are nice little gimmies as well. Don't save. And then going down, that is everything you need to worry about. If you're using any kind of third-party attribution, you would know what to do down here. But for calls, if you're local service, always put your phone number in there. Always click that. Because then what that's going to allow people to do is see this button right here. This is going to allow people to do what's called call from ads. So if someone's looking you up and they just see right there in the search engine result page, they'll be able to click that and call you right away without even going to your website itself. So that is a good one. And that covers everything that you need here. So this is going to be your very first ad. Once you have all this stuff down, again, mine says pause because I'm not filling this stuff out, but you're going to have your very first ad in your first ad group, your first campaign. So go ahead and click next. This is your daily budget. So remember, if you're like, hey, I want to spend $1,000 a month, that's 33 a day. Just do the math. Set your custom budget, whatever you want. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this because I am not going to, run Google Ads for this company. I'm going to discard. You would figure that out, of course. But one of the biggest things I can recommend for you here, so I'm running, actual video campaigns because I'm running retargeting for my YouTube videos. But right here, after you make yours, you're going to see one that's going to say search terms, right? So you click on that. That's where you're going to be able to see the searches that people are making. So you can make those negative keywords in the future when you get those unrelated searches. So just be careful of those. You're going to want to be checking those a lot. And what I like to do is I like to make negative keywords almost right off the bat. So again, because mine's a video campaign, I don't have keywords really. But when you click on keywords right here, you go to negative keywords, which is going to be here. I always make some broad negative keywords right off the bat, especially if you're watching this in your local home service business, which I'm going to assume 90% of you are. I would immediately make broad negative keywords that are going to be price, how to, cost, cheap, DIY, how can I, Home Depot, etc. That's going to help just get rid of all the, the irrelevant, cheapskate, bad lead, people that you don't want. Start with those, and then what you're going to probably see is some competitors show up, etc. So as time goes on, you're going to see, these new searches for any business that applies. Like if you're in the medical industry, you could put symptoms, you could put effects, or how can I, or what does, right? Those are going to help you just save money right off the bat. You can honestly almost just guess and assume what some of those might be, and in my experience, those are the best ones, like I said, for local service businesses. And then what's going to happen is once you have your campaign made that you just enabled, you're going to see that campaign either in here or just here. It doesn't matter. Go ahead and go to ad groups, right? And what you're going to want to do here for yours, you're going to see your one ad group, right? So what you're going to do then is you're going to go ahead and here, and you're going to create a new ad group, and you're going to do exactly what we did. But remember, because you're going to be using single theme ad groups, now you're going to make one for car detailing or car washing or interior car detailing or exterior, right? So mobile auto detailing, when that comes to my head, that screams obviously like interior, right? But let's see how many people want exterior. Once this puppy loads, mobile detailing. Okay, not as many, but let's do exterior detailing. See, this is the whole point of doing this, because there's not as much, right? But there's a difference between interior as well. So there's, like 100 searches for exterior. So it all depends on what you want to do. But again, remember, do the keyword research, have things separated. Let's do ceramic coating. Let's see, because remember, you're going to want to do the keyword research yourself. and also have those other ad groups for just, you know, the other way people look at it. Ceramic coating, 550 searches. Wow, there's nothing else related to it. So again, look at your website, think of what people would be looking up, find what you want to do. But remember, single theme ad groups, don't be lazy. Split up your ad groups between, you know, mobile car washing, mobile auto detailing, car detailing, auto detailing, everything else. Okay, I think you guys got it. So that everything in this video is exactly what I would do if I was setting up ads for my clients. Besides, I would have 2 ads per ad group just to give, you know, the ads some more variations of actual headlines and copy. So with that, I hope I was able to help you guys create your very first Google Ads campaign. And I'm telling you, a lot of the stuff I shared here went the extra mile with. Not a lot of people are sharing in their videos because, again, I see the exact same mistakes day in and day out. So I want to help you mitigate that. But if you got to this point and you're like, Johnny, this is going to be a full-time job, and honestly, it is, and scaling it correctly does take quite a bit of practice and expertise. So if you want to just hand this off to someone so you can focus on actually growing your business, then I would love to be that guy for you, and I would love to see if we're a good fit. So please go to the first link in the description of this video, go to my website, fill out that quick contact form, and if I am not sleeping or making a video or talking to a client, I will call you back within 5 minutes. I'm gonna put a thing together where I show when people fill out my form and when I call them back. It is literally within 60 seconds every single time, and people are always shocked and they're impressed by my customer service. So I want to work with you. Fill out that form, go to my website. If not, then I hope this video was tremendously helpful, and good luck. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you for watching.